And with me now live from Perth is one of Tony Abbott's key backers, the Finance Minister Mathias Cormann. Senator, have you been doing the numbers on a spill motion and do you believe it will succeed or not?
I'm very confident that on Tuesday the party room will support the leadership team that took us successfully to the last election. I will be supporting Tony Abbott and I will be supporting Julie Bishop, and I would urge all of my colleagues to do the same, and I'm very confident that...
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was going to ask, is the source of that confidence because you've actually done the homework to check the numbers, or is that your gut feeling?
Well, I've been speaking to a lot of my colleagues over the past week, as you would have expected me to do, and the overwhelming feedback I've been getting from my colleagues is that they want the government to get on with it, they want stability, they want to see the team which was successfully elected at the last election to continue in the job, and they want us to get back to the task at hand, which is to strengthen the economy, to create more jobs, to help families and to maintain our national security.
Your Cabinet colleague Christopher Pyne said this morning that the numbers are an inexact science, and he didn't seem quite so confident.
The Prime Minister and the Deputy Leader have the unanimous support of the Cabinet. I believe they have the overwhelming support of the party room. And it's important to note again that there is actually no alternative candidate. What I would say is we need to support the team that took us successfully from opposition into government. That was the team that the Australian people voted for. That is the team that should be taking us to the next election.
There is a Reach-Tel Channel 7 poll that's come out tonight showing that an immediate switch from Tony Abbott to Malcolm Turnbull would move the coalition from electoral annihilation to a commanding victory if an election were called immediately. That has to be concentrating your colleagues' minds.
Well, I believe that the best team to take us to the next election is Tony Abbott as Prime Minister and Julie Bishop as our Deputy Leader. And
but that doesn't give you pause for thought, poll numbers like that?
Well, I'm focused on the job that we need to do, which is to implement our agenda for a stronger, more prosperous economy and for a safe and secure Australia. And I believe that Tony Abbott and Julie Bishop are the best team to take us to the next election, to be accountable for our performance in this term of government and to take forward our second-term agenda.
Senator Cormann, could you please explain for our voters how a vote, for our viewers, how who are also voters, how a vote on a spill motion actually works? Is it a show of hands?
The precedent is that it's a secret ballot, and I would expect that it will be a secret ballot on this occasion.
So do you vote simply for whether or not you want a spill motion or you want the leadership positions to be spilled?
It'll be a vote of either yes or no. I will be voting no against the spill, and those of my colleagues who support stability, who support the current leadership team of Tony Abbott and Julie Bishop, who don't want us to go down the path of the Labor Party, will vote against this spill motion, will vote no on their ballot paper.
Okay, so if it's a no, then it's just business as usual. If it's a yes, then what happens immediately after that? Does the party room then call for candidates, and then is there an immediate vote, or what happens?
That is a hypothetical question. I believe that the no vote will prevail. I
just would really love you to explain to our viewers just how it actually works, because I'm sure many of them aren't familiar with what the processes are.
Well, the way it will work is that on Tuesday the party room will have in front of it a motion to spill the leadership positions.
Yes, that's right. We've gone through that. If it's a yes, then what happens?
That is a hypothetical question. I don't believe that will happen, and I don't believe we will have to cross that bridge.
But could you please explain for us what actually happens if it is a yes? Is there a sort of known procedure?
Obviously, it's pretty straightforward. There will be a vote to spill the positions. I believe that vote will be unsuccessful. I believe it should be unsuccessful.
I know, we've established that.
Well, if it is successful, obviously there'll be another vote.
So you won't even explain for me the process. Like, does it go to another vote immediately, or is it on another day, or what actually happens?
That will be a matter for the party room to determine at that point in time, and I would not want to preempt a circumstance that I don't believe will happen.
And does the Prime Minister chair that meeting, or is it chaired by a whip, or what happens?
Obviously it's up to the party room to determine what happens after a spill vote, but as I say to you, I'm very confident that the spill motion will be defeated, that the current leadership team of Tony Abbott and Julie Bishop will be supported by the party room.
Okay. Given your very strong stance in support of Tony Abbott, if the Prime Minister and Julie Bishop, if the Prime Minister is toppled next week, will you go to the backbench?
I don't believe that is a circumstance that will eventuate.
But if it does, will you go to the backbench?
It's a hypothetical question, and I'm not going to go down and entertain hypothetical questions.
Your West Australian colleague Dennis Jansen was on the program earlier this week, and he says that he's been inundated with messages from voters saying, we don't like Tony Abbott, get rid of him. Your constituents are part of the same geographic territory as his. Surely you must be getting that same feedback.
Well, I've been inundated by emails and phone calls from constituents, and I've also spoken, as I've mentioned to you, to a lot of my colleagues over the past week. And the overwhelming message that I've received is that people want us to get on with the job that we were elected to do, to put Australia on a stronger foundation for the future, that they want us to unite and to be the united and disciplined force that we were in the lead up to the last election and for most of our period in government so far, and that they want the current leadership team of Tony Abbott and Julie Bishop to continue.
So that means that everyone you speak to is at odds with everyone who's polled by Newspoll, by Ipsos, by the Fairfax polls. It's at odds with what we're hearing everywhere else.
Well, I disagree with that assertion. I mean, from where I sit, clearly over the past year, we've had to make some difficult, though we would say necessary decisions for the future of the country. That is not always popular, and that has been reflected in the polls. But the people in the party room, overwhelmingly, that I've spoken to over the past week or so, the people in the Liberal Party here in Western Australia and nationally that I've spoken to over the past week or so, overwhelmingly have said to me that they want stability, they want the government to get on with the job that we were elected to do, they want to see Tony Abbott and Julie Bishop to lead us successfully into the next election.
But can the Prime Minister really ever recover from this, given that senior members of his own team have said that his continuing grip on the job depends on whether or not he improves his performance?
I'm very confident that the Prime Minister can turn the situation around. Clearly, we've had a difficult couple of weeks. On Monday at the Press Club, the Prime Minister gave a very good speech outlining his priorities for 2015, building on some of the achievements in 2014 to strengthen the economy, create more jobs, help families and maintain our national security. I believe that the Prime Minister deserves the opportunity, given the hard yards that he did in opposition, given the hard yards that he and Julie Bishop did to take us successfully to the last election and get us into government. I believe he deserves a fair go in turning the situation around that we find ourselves in.
Senator Cormann, many thanks for joining us this evening.
Always good to talk to you.